then see if kids he might take, or somebody else might, you know what I'm saying?
All right, if
That
we're
will be
ready,
the
we can
target.
start.
told him though, whatever way, he's directed your driving.
Yes,
Sip of water.
that's good. I'm just trying to keep the throttle down. What I mean.
Ready to go?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, everybody's ready, okay. Good afternoon, I call this work session to order. Ms. Hall, if you could take roll.
Mr. Frank?
Here.
Mr. Davis?
Yep.
Mr. Castro? Here. I'm here, you're here, we're here.
Thank you, Ms. Hall. We go on now to the approval of the agenda. And we're going to make some changes, so I'm going to entertain a motion to change the agenda to move item 3A2, review of the superintendent's evaluation tool to become 2.2 under closed executive session. Turns out we can't talk about these things in public. This will allow the board to meet in a closed executive session for collective bargaining and limited personnel matters. Originally, we had proposed to have a general discussion of the superintendent's evaluation tool. However, we have board members that want to discuss it more specifically, and that would include information regarding Mr. Round's evaluation. Therefore, this matter will be discussed in a closed executive session. Before we vote on this change to the agenda, are there any other requests for change? Everyone is good with this? Yes, yes, sir.
You say we can add on something besides collective bargaining?
We're going to go into closed section for collective bargaining.
Got that.
And we're going to add the evaluation tool so that all questions can be answered appropriately. Okay? All right, seeing that,
Madam Chair?
yes.
Do you want to entertain the motion? You want to?
Well, yes, as I go on, seeing that if there's no other changes, then do I have a motion to amend the agenda?
I so move.
I'll
Second.
second it.
Okay, so we have a first and a second from Ms. Hall. And I don't think we need a roll call, we'll just take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
And I support this. And now I need to approve the agenda as amended.
Madam President, just a point of order.
Yes.
You may wish to ask for any dissenting votes or nay votes,
Oh,
just for the record.
all right. Anyone dissenting? I thought I heard all the ayes.
Madam Chair, you did, but
Okay.
the record doesn't.
Okay, that's
so.
fine. No problem. Seeing, as we move ahead, now we need to approve the agenda as amended. And do I have a motion?
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Any discussion? Any comments? And all in favor, please say
Aye.
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 aye. Any dissents? Okay, 0 dissents. We are now going to go ahead with 1D. This is the approval of the minutes, and we have been sitting on quite a few here. I will entertain a motion to approve the April 14th, 2015 regular meeting minutes, May 26, 2015 regular meeting minutes, June 9th, no, I skipped one, didn't, no, I
No, you're
didn't.
right.
June 9th, 2015 special meeting minutes, June 16th, 2015 regular meeting minutes, June 30th, 2015 closed executive meeting minutes, and July 20th, 2015 special meeting minutes, and the August 5th special meeting minutes. Do I have a motion?
I will abstain from June 6th, or 9th and 16th, since I was not present.
Okay, so 9th and 16th. Do we have to make a separate motion or just go ahead?
Amen.
Madam President, you can make one motion and just make that
Okay,
notation.
and with that clarification, I will entertain a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay. First and second. Do you have a comment, Mr. Davis?
Yes, I have some some things questions I need answered after I reviewed that. I have some,
You still have questions about it? No.
know what came up as I reviewed it, so at some later date, can we discuss
Okay.
my concerns?
All right, and you will discuss those concerns with Ms. Galvan then? Or-
No, it's with you and us and how we're reacting to things, that's all.
Madam President, if you have a change that needs to be made, it would need to be made at the day.
Yes, we can't really, if there's one that you will abstain from until you review it, then we can include that in the abstention and approve all the others.
Well, the problem is that I went through, I had certain ones said we were gonna do something, and I wanted to find out whether we were doing it or not, or we had done it or not. So I don't know how we handle that.
So, Madam President, let me recommend that the approval of minutes is only approving what is
What's
on the
there?
record. And then I think the intentions of the board you could discuss as a separate matter at a separate time if that pleases the board.
That's what I want to do.
All right, so we can go ahead and approve them now.
Yes, but they would be approved minutes, so if you ever wanted to bring it back for a revote, you'd have to
Okay.
go back through the process.
All right, then we'll just go ahead and do that at a later date. So then we have a first and a second, and we have abstentions for June 9th and June 16th for Ms. Hall. But she will then, yes,
Skip.
you have a
I
comment?
probably should abstain from May 26th.
Okay. May 26th, Mr. Frank. Okay, so then, all in favor of approval of these minutes, except for the abstaining members on specific dates as stated, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any dissent? We have 2 abstentions for those specific dates.
Got it.
All right, so now we have a video for our entertainment. We're going to review the Roberts Rules of Order. I'm thinking about 5 minutes, Ms. Galvan? Okay, very good.
If you don't mind, Madam President, members of the board, and Mr. Rounds, we want to make sure you're the gold medal winners
Yes.
of Robert Rules of Order when you go to your Robert's Rules of Order Olympics.
Yes.
I did want to preface the video by saying that I put something in your packets that has a triangle, which is your basic procedure of working through motions. Obviously, you would start at the bottom and go up through the top. And if I could quickly review that, you don't have to do each step of the pyramid. You could go from the bottom all the way to the top in one time. But these are some of your options that you have. Where it says postpone to a definite time, that could also mean you're temporarily tabling an item, which you have done this past meeting. Where it says previous question, that's also referred to as call for the question, but the chairman would have to make sure there's a consensus to stop the discussion and go forward with the motion at hand. So she would gauge the rest of you if there's ever someone that says we're calling for the question. Something that's laying on the table, that would be also referred to as tabling an item, and that, therefore it's dead at that point. So this was just as a quick referral guide. And then below is what you're going to see tonight is a snippet from a Robert Rules of Order training tool where it is about the motions, amending an emotion and amending the amendment. Sometimes a little confusing, so we thought this would be a good video for you to watch. One other thing I think that's important for your board to be expedient and very orderly in a meeting is that you always go through your chair, even if you want to address the public or if you want to address the chairman or even just addressing another member of the board or the superintendent. You get the chairs to react to you. You either raise your hand or say, Madam Chair. Then you wait for the chair to acknowledge you wanting to speak, and then you would go forward from there. So that's the orderly process. And let's take a look at this first video, and then if you ever want any others, we could focus on a specific section of the Roberts Rules for you in the future.
So, Madam Chair, if I could reiterate, one of the things you'll notice I do as a practice, as an example, is if Mr. Frank, as an example, would ask a question, I always refer first Madam Chair, then Mr. Frank. And what I've learned over the years of superintending is by using you, Madam Chair, as the waypoint, it takes care of the distractive discussion. It also soothes situations when they become diverse and whatnot, because again, we're not going at a particular individual, but through you. And I've found over the years that's it's a process the legislature uses as an example as they try to use Robert's rules. And I would suggest to the board, we may want to practice that some and use that as a protocol and see how that fits, how that wears for you.
Well, I just want to make it clear for everyone, knowing who's doing what, who's making the motion, who's making the first, the second. It was turning into a little bit of a rolling kind of thing, so it's good. And Ms. Galvan, I don't have a copy of that pyramid, so,
Yep.
well, yeah, thank you.
Okay.
I appreciate it. No, it's okay,
Here, Mr.
not a problem.
Or-
Okay,
Mr.
so
Cuthbert.
we'll start with the video then. Thank you.
So let me just real quickly refresh your memory about what we saw inside those video snippets. Now, there was one item of business that we're handling in that example, and that was the main motion, which was to donate $2,500 to SPDA. Now, an amendment was made, and that amendment was to strike out SPDA and insert cross. The amendment to the amendment, which signifies the third motion inside of our pyramid of precedence, was to strike out cross and insert the Valley Center for the Homeless. So, thinking about our pyramid, how many motions do we have inside of our pyramid? That's right, we have 3. So in order to clear this item of business, handle this item of business, and move on to the next item of business, we would have to, in this example, actually take 3 separate votes on the way down. We would have to vote first on the amendment to the amendment, then we would have to vote on the amendment, and then regardless of if that passes or fails, we vote on the main motion. The entrance as well as the exit to that pyramid resides through the same door, and that is making a main motion and voting on the main motion. Once you've voted on the main motion, regardless of if it passes or fails, we've all now stepped outside the pyramid of precedence and we're ready to handle our next item of business. So what we're going to do for the remainder of this webinar is to actually show you how to vote on each of these motions. And I think what's important to understand is that we haven't made any decisions until we've started to vote. So the motions are just putting questions that need to be answered in front of the assembly. So the main motion is the formal question of, hey, you guys, do you want to donate $2,500 to the SPDA? And then someone asks the question of, hey, do you want to strike out SPDA and insert cross? And then someone asked another question of, do you want to amend the amendment by striking out cross and inserting the Valley Center for the Homeless? All of these motions are nothing more than questions that are waiting to be answered by your board's vote. So let's look and see what happens to each of these motions when we vote on them. Let's start with amending the amendment. Now, what happens to the amendment if it fails? So if the chair says all those in favor of amending the amendment, all those opposed, aye, and the amendment to the amendment fails, then what happens is that the amendment to the amendment just gets struck out. It's gone. And you're now left inside the pyramid with the amendment and the main motion. So the amendment and the main motion stay exactly the same. Let's see what happens if the amendment to the amendment passes. And I think this is a really important distinction to make because a lot of people get lost here. So if the chair asks all those in favor of the amendment to the amendment, everybody says aye, and he asks for opposed, and the chair says the amendment to the amendment passes, then what happens is the amendment to the amendment actually becomes a part of the new amendment. So the amendment itself actually changes, and we are left with 2 motions inside the pyramid. So let's look and see what happens if the amendment fails. So if the chair asks, all those in favor of the amendment, please say aye. All opposed, and everybody says nay, the chair renders his ruling or her ruling and says the amendment fails. And so the amendment just gets stricken out, and the motion stays exactly the same. I know that a lot of times people are like, well, we've just wasted a whole lot of life. That's not true, because what your board has determined by voting both the amendment to the amendment and the amendment down is that you don't want Valley Center for the Homeless, you don't want Cross, and you're that much more certain that you want SPDA. So what happens if the amendment passes? This is a really important one to understand, because if the amendment passes, it now becomes a part of the new main motion. So it's the newly amended motion. The main motion actually changes when the amendment passes. Now, have we made any decisions? Well, we've made a few small inconsequential decisions by voting on the amendments, but you're really making the big decision when you vote on the main motion. So in order to exit the pyramid and start handling another item of business, your board has to vote on the main motion. All those in favor of donating $2,500 to the Valley Center for the Homeless, please say aye. All opposed? Motion passes. So regardless of if the main motion passes or fails, you've now exited out of the pyramid of precedence, and you as a board are ready to handle your next item of business.
So now you can face amendments to the amendment anytime you want. One other item I did want to mention is to remember that when you're getting motions, you need to allow the chairman to be sure and get a second before you begin discussion. So she has to do that part of business, and it doesn't mean that you either are going to support or deny the vote. It means that you're willing to bring forward the motion to be voted on. So she needs to obtain her second to a motion prior to you all having discussion on it, and she needs to allow for discussion before you actually have your vote. So that's today's mini lesson. Do you have any questions?
Any comments? Okay,
Thank you.
I think it's a good video and a good set of DVDs, actually. Thank you very much, Ms. Galvan. Okay, we're going to move into closed executive session. The collective bargaining strategies. I will entertain a motion to move into closed executive session to discuss collective bargaining strategies preliminary to bargaining negotiations as permitted under Section 10-15-1H5 of the New Mexico Open Meetings Act and limited personnel matters related to the evaluation of the superintendent as permitted under Section 10-15-1H2 of the New Mexico Open Meetings Act. We need to take a roll call vote. Ms. Secretary.
Mr. Frank?
Madam President, first you'll need your motion.
Oh, we
and
need a
second.
motion first, yes, thank you.
So
I
moved.
need a motion and a second. Okay?
Okay,
so-
Mr. Frank?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Castro?
Yes.
Mrs. Flores?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Okay, and then, I think we're ready to go.
An executive session, yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. We'll be back, as soon as we can.
Shortly.
And then we can see it effective or not.
Okay, good.
Just go to Mexico.
And so it is definitely outside.
I remember when I got hired in
Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. Oops. Well, where did I put my folder now?
I just feel bad when people sit here. I think that people have to sit out here, you know.
I could go get a Coke.
Yeah.
Well, there.
Yeah.
So we can't do that.
No, we can't do that.
So,
Okay, are we ready, Tina?
Madam President, you're ready to come back in from your executive session, I believe.
Yeah. That's-
Okay. Well, here we are, we're back, and we,
Take a roll call.
yes, we're going to, what's that?
Take a roll call back. All vote to get
We're
it back.
back in session,
It is, Virginia.
and,
do I need to take the roll call, Mr. Frank? Are you here?
Here.
Do we need a
first, we need a
motion?
motion, yes. To,
So moved.
Okay,
second,
I'll second it.
all in favor, roll
Aye.
call?
Roll call.
Mr. Frank, are you here?
Here.
No, well, this is
Yes or no? We'll go
Oh,
back.
yes or
to
no?
reconvene.
Yes.
To reconvene, yes, okay. Mr.
Yes.
Mr. Castro?
Yes.
I vote yes.
And I vote yes, so we are now reconvened. And now we will, the board went into closed session from,
4:17 PM to 5:37.
okay, to 5:37 PM to discuss collective bargaining strategies preliminary to bargaining negotiations as permitted under section 1015-1H5 of the New Mexico Open Meetings Act, and limited personnel matters related to the evaluation of the superintendent as permitted under section 1015-1H2 of the New Mexico Open Meetings Act. No other items were discussed and no action was taken. So now we move on to the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Madam President. Good evening, members of the board, ladies and gentlemen of the audience. This evening, it's my pleasure and honor to ask Victoria Gonzalez to come forward, representing Special Olympics New Mexico, and to give a presentation. Good evening. And you've got someone with you, and I'm sorry, I don't know who all they are, so I'll leave that to you.
Thank you. Thank you for having us and letting us speak to you a little bit. We want to shed some positivity on this evening, and we want to let you know about some great things that your district is doing. So, with Special Olympics, one of my duties is running our inclusive school programs, and this is called Project Unify. And Project Unify is a national program that's a partnership between the U.S. Department of Education and Special Olympics to use the tools, the sports tools of Special Olympics to empower youth to create more inclusive school environments. We want to foster youth leadership, get kids active, and tie them to their community. We want to create great citizens. And it's my pleasure to come in front of you now and let you know that the Las Cruces Public Schools is doing an amazing job at this. So just wanted to talk to you a little bit about what you guys are doing and what that looks statewide. I have a video, I didn't get it in on time, so I'm hoping that we could send it out to everybody
That'd
so
be
they could
wonderful.
see.
Thank you.
They could see that, so I will follow up with that. But you can see some of the Vista athletes and partners. This was a track meet, a unified track meet. Unified meaning we partner special education students and regular education students together in sports. I love this combination because it shows so much from both ends. There's so much learning on both ends that's in a natural, fun way. So we don't need to talk about disability awareness. When you're working together on a team, if any of you guys have done sports, you learn about the abilities and the challenges of your teammates. We don't need to point out what everything is. We work together to accomplish a goal. Next slide. So this is the Las Cruces Public School impact. So we are going on our 4th year in Las Cruces. When we started in 2012-2013 school year, it was one school, Oñate. As we were making school visits, there was a lot of room to grow for special education. We visited some schools, and adaptive physical education classes were meeting in the hallways. This happens, it happens. We have now moved from that to having an impact that we'll see in the next graphs. Next slide. When we look at the total schools participating in Project Unified throughout the state, the blue is Las Cruces, so you can see how that's gone, and the red is the rest of the state. So you can see that Las Cruces is leading the way, and it continues to grow, and we're hoping that this trend will continue to grow. Next slide. This is the youth that we're getting involved. The blue is athletes, and by athletes we mean special education students. So you can see that blue is the Las Cruces Public Schools special education students and their involvement 2012-2013. And you can go on. And then the rest of the state, and then you can see the partners is the green. And that has continued. The years got kind of messed up on the bottom, but it continues to rise. And you can see that, again, it's very significant compared to the rest of the state.
And may I make a comment there? If you look at the blue and green, so that's our athletes and our partners. Do you notice that in each of the years they're almost equal?
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the state compared to the athletes and the rest of the state as partners, you're going to see that they apex that. So we're closer to kind of a one-to-one initiative, which I find really compelling and wonderful. That's real teamsmanship, which is very nice.
Next slide. This is the students impacted, and we measure students impacted because each of our programs has to do a school engagement. So we want this to be something that they're connecting to their school, connecting to their community, and spreading this message throughout the school. So this is the amount of people that they've reached, and you can see that in this past year, the Las Cruces Public Schools impacted more. They had more visibility within their schools, within their community, than the rest of the state combined. We can go on. Next. So I have some quotes. And I can give you numbers, but it's hard to feel the impact because most of these impacts are on an individual level. So this is one quote. I'm a student council sponsor, and my students have helped with Project Unify. It has changed the way they think and act with students with special needs. It has changed the climate at our school and has spread a sense of awareness and compassion. Without this program, students would become unaware. This is an amazing program for everyone. Next slide. It impacted my life by meeting Caleb. It showed me what kids with autism can do, that everyone with autism shouldn't be treated different than anybody else. And this was an elementary student. Next. The best part of Project Unify was Christopher. He just makes your day better. His smile, his laugh, his reactions to what he did. I enjoyed seeing him be proud of himself. And this was by a high school regular education student as a partner. Next slide. This is just a picture of the autism program that we did at Central Elementary School last year. Next slide. Without Project Unify, my child would not have the opportunity to play a sport at school. And this is from a mother of a participating special education student. So overall, what I want you to know about this is that it's growing, that it's important. When I look at those numbers and I see the impact that Las Cruces Public Schools are having, I'm extremely grateful. I'm extremely grateful that your teachers and that your staff, your rec therapist, your adaptive physical education teachers are giving these opportunities. When people ask me what's the difference, that's the difference. The difference is your staff is willing to go above and beyond, that they're willing to seek out and create opportunities for both regular education students and special education students to achieve their best and to define what that is within their school. And I think that's an amazing thing, and I think you guys all deserve a round of applause for that. So that is something to be extremely proud about. Again, like I said, I can give you numbers. I would encourage you to come out to an event and to see the impact, to see the lives that it's impacting. I do have a couple of students, the Covarrubias, and they will introduce and talk about what it has meant to them.
Great.
Hi, I'm Alyssa Covarrubia. I'm a senior at Oñate High School. I lead the Advocates in Action Club we have there. And what we've done is we have led the state in Project Unify. We host a softball event every year, and this will be our 4th consecutive year. And with this event, we partner everybody up, and it's, like you said, it's almost a one-to-one partnership. And with that, I have my brother. This is Keith. He's also a sophomore at Oñate. Come here. What do you like about the softball?
For softball, I like to hit the balls pretty good.
And who's your teammates?
Incredibles.
No, at school.
At the school, yes. At the school, my teacher let me do the sports I want to do for Special Olympics. I like bowling, my friends too. And my friends, Isabel's my friend too. That's Special Olympics.
And who plays with you at school?
Maybe Isabel? Or
Everybody, right?
everybody.
Yeah. That's good.
Everyone knows me.
Everybody wants to know you, yeah.
We also have a couple of our teachers, if you want to step forward, and principal. Like I said, we did a great autism awareness project that we partnered regular ed students with autism-specific classrooms, and they worked on team building skills. It was such a great model. I was just letting some people know that there's a couple of clusters in APS that are asking that we bring some of your rec therapists up to show them the model and hopefully model a program after it. Did you guys want to speak on that real quick?
What we did was we wanted to bring Special Olympics into Project Unify into at the elementary level. I had never done it before. So I partnered with our instructional specialist who had done it before. And so we wrote a grant and you know, Victoria walked us through the whole process. But what we did was we included the 4 sites, the 4 autism sites, and you know, coordinated all of that and practiced the adapted PE teachers and the rec therapists. They all helped us collaborate. PE teachers. I mean, it was just a wonderful collaboration to get the kids ready for the day of the event. We had judges from New Mexico State University. We had the block teachers, and so it was really just like a community collaboration, and it was awesome.
Could you give us your name?
Yes.
Gina Torres, I'm sorry.
Thanks, Gina.
And Gina is one of my teachers at Central Elementary. So for us, this was a true, I'm going to say blessing, because it gave us the opportunity to showcase the talents that our artistic kids share, because they come to us with gifts. They truly do. And so for us to model that inclusivity and to actually bring out the best that they have. And it was an amazing experience. We hosted the sites, and it was very successful. And again, it was about community building, about respect, and about celebrating the talents. And we did this for the first time at Central, but it was an effort from the community all the way around. And our parents at Central are very involved. We do have one of our parents here. Her child is with us in the autism classroom. So all along the way in the process throughout, they were involved as well. So it wasn't just a one-person show. It was the community building. Do you want to share anything?
Hello, my name is Elon Daniel. I have a special needs child, and for me, sorry, a little emotional.
Okay.
Project Unify was the most wonderful experience. A lot of times, when we go out in public, I feel ostracized because of my son's condition. And it just felt good to have people cheering my baby. for something he was doing that was positive. And I really would recommend you keep doing these projects throughout the state because it's just gonna make us grow stronger. It's gonna make our children grow together, and it's gonna make everybody feel like they're included. And I love the staff at Central because the principal, when she gives her talks every year, and she says that we are a family, and I really feel like Central staff is a part of my family. They have welcomed myself and my son with open arms, and even though it gets difficult at times because of his condition, I never feel like I have to be ashamed or feel like I have to be apologetic because they are always there to support us. Thank you.
Thank you.
And again, this is what we love about that program is we allow them, we create, your staff creates the opportunity for them to be celebrated and for their achievements to be recognized. Mike can tell you that Vista, and he's taken what we've been talking about to a next level. So this is another level.
Hi, thank you for letting us speak with you this evening. We appreciate it. Going into the school year, Vista, as you know, is a turnaround school. And I've had the wonderful experiences of working with Miss Wendy Hammond. And I go to her with these crazy ideas, and she lets me run with them. And I said, we need to go a little further with the Advocates in Action this year. She says, what do you mean, Mike? I said, well, Advocates in Action is great with Project Unified, but just as you spoke about, we started an Advocates in Action where I have my 15 low-incident students, and I've been a teacher in the district for 24 years, been doing low incidents the entire time. I'm a humongous advocate for the proper treatment of these children. So we're the only school in the state that has 15 low-incidence kids in a PE class with a licensed PE instructor every single day. But that wasn't really good enough, so I went out and I handpicked 15 other kids. As you saw how the numbers went like this, well, we handpicked 15 other kids to be the partner to the athlete. So right now we're working, we go hand in hand with the curriculum of the PE department. So right now we're doing volleyball. Next we'll go into basketball, we'll do football. And with the help of the administrators, I would like to see something like this done in every middle school, and then you'll have more parents like this lady here saying all the wonderful things that we do. I mean, teaching low incidence, we get very small gains, but this makes all the difference in the world in my book. Advocates in Action, we take it one step further as to when they're in the community, they're there to develop kind of a lifelong friendship with the kids, and they do. You know, when a parent comes to me in tears and they're telling me, we went to Walmart and a kid came up and said hi, and just by doing that, I mean, just the ripple effect that produces it's priceless in my book. We're gonna go ahead and partner up with Ms. Gonzalez and do the Project Unified on a state level, and you know, that's it. Just advocacy skills that are gonna promote. Vista's kind of a hub, and they go all over. They go to Mayfield, they go to Centennial, they go everywhere. And from there, I told them when they go out, it's their job, the advocates, to go and get the kids and take them to lunch and, you know, do things with them, make them feel welcome. And luckily enough, like I said, Ms. Hammond has given me the green light to do these things. So thank you again. And again, our door is open if you want to come and check out our Advocates in Action program that we have going on at Vista. I'm sure you guys would like it quite a bit. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
So we appreciate the time. And we just want to make sure that we are on your radar and that you know the great things that are happening, that you take pride in it because you should. You have great employees. They're doing great things for your students. They're creating great citizens. And isn't that ultimately what we would want?
Yeah.
So thank you. We'll be in touch. I will be sending you events that are coming up. We hope to hear from more schools. We hope to increase the numbers so that we have more and more Las Cruces schools. And we hope that you hear from us a lot.
And Victoria, one of the things, Madam President, I'm going to ask if Victoria will provide us with the video. I'd like to post it on your board portion of the website so you can enjoy it but so can others that have had a chance to.
Yes, yes.
To find out about this program.
Yes, and I'm sorry we didn't get it
No, it's
in
fine.
time, so.
But it's very nice. I've seen it, and I think it's a good benefit of what we're doing in the district. We can all celebrate that. And I'm so happy to hear that, Mom, when you talk about your child being ostracized because they're different, that's not okay. We can change all of that in this community by just how we act. And Coach, it's what you're doing in that outreach to step out and make sure we have it happening. So let's all have the faith we're going to make that happen, okay? Great to hear from you. Thank you.
Do any of the board members have a comment?
Or if anyone has any questions for me?
Anyone?
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
I just wanted to ask you again to please send us the schedule, because I know that, I can't remember her name now, but one of the principals had invited us to an event, and it was kind of at the last minute, so if we can have ahead of time.
As soon as we know, we'll let you
And certainly to come and visit. I'd like to see your advocates in action. The other thing that keeps popping into my head is how this is bullying prevention.
Absolutely.
Right here, and I cannot even begin to think of the benefits. I mean, just changing the paradigm for our kids, especially in middle school. And I don't know if everyone of your group got a chance to speak. I was just gonna say, did anyone else have anything else to say? Everyone's good? Okay.
I tend to say, when we start in elementary, when I go into elementaries and I see these kids, and I pair special education with regular ed, there's obvious differences between the special education students. There's behavior, there's physical, and kids are kind in the beginning. So thinking they're kind, what they do is they ignore those behaviors. They don't know how to bridge that gap. And they think that's the nice thing to do. Let's pretend we don't see him making those noises. What ends up happening is they end up ignoring the student. And as that gets older, that gap becomes larger and harder to bridge. By the time you're in middle school, it turns to bullying.
And then it's peer pressure.
Misunderstood. You don't know, why is Tommy making that noise? The great thing about this program is it brings you together in such a fun way that you learn about those challenges. So the hope is the next time Tommy's in the hall and someone says, what's that kid making that noise? Someone will be able to say, oh, that's just Tommy. He does that. Sometimes it kind of calms him, but he's a really good softball player.
Right.
And we see that. And that's the stuff those are the things that the statistics won't show. So I'm very excited that you guys will come and see those things in action. And we're sure you'll be just as proud of it as we are.
And rather than you thank us, we thank you for the wonderful work that you're doing. I think you deserve a round of applause, frankly.
I'm excited at the possibility that this is just the beginning of our relationship with Las Cruces.
Thank you for your passion.
So
Thank you.
thank
It's
you.
wonderful.
And we'll probably excuse ourselves.
Thank you, Victoria. Thank you all.
That's very heartening to hear. Thank you.
Madam President, I think that completes the superintendent's report since we moved item 3A2 into executive session and moves us to our human resource development. I'd like our Chief Human Resources Officer, Dr. Liz Marufo, to do that presentation.
Hello, good evening, Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent Rounds, members of our community. Enrollment and class sizes are being monitored at the elementary level on a daily basis with a new and exciting tool that has been developed by Albert Vega, who is our most amazing human resources data person. In the past, we used to monitor the old way, print out reports, look at class sizes, do comparisons, but Albert has created a wonderful dashboard that we can monitor quickly and visually. And I'd like to just take a moment, first of all, to thank Albert for his great work, but also to walk you through what we see on a daily basis as we're monitoring the enrollment at the elementary level. So I'd like to begin at the top, where you see average students per grade level. At Hillrise Elementary, the average number of students in kindergarten is currently 18 students. In first grade, it's 19.4. In second grade, it's 22.75. In third grade, it's 23.5. In fourth grade, 21.25. And in fifth grade, 22. In the pie chart, you can see the distribution according to grade levels. So as a principal, or as we in HR monitoring those, we can kind of see which grade levels have the most students. We can look at the distribution across the school level. Right below that, in the green or yellow-green, you can see there are 90 students in kinder, 97 in first grade, 91 in second grade, 94 in third, 85 in fourth, and 88 in fifth grade. That's Hillrise Elementary. The next piece you see is student counts by teacher and grade. If you'll notice, in kindergarten, again, we kept the color the same. You can see there are 5 teachers all below the red broken line, which is the state class size requirement of 20. So at Hillrise Elementary, all 5 of the kindergarten classes are below the state class size limit. In first grade, you can see you have a 19, 20, 20, 18, and 20. Again, remembering in first grade, the class size limit is 22, so all 5 of those teachers are below the state limit. In second grade, you see the red broken line again is at 22, yes. However, you see classes with 23, 21, 23, and 24. In third grade, state average or size limit is 22. You see a 23, 23, 23, and 25. Remembering that the class size limit also says that when you're looking at class size limits, you can average grades 1, 2, and 3 for 22 as the average. So in this case, they were slightly over in second and third, but when you looked at the average, they were about at 22. In fourth grade, remember class size limits in fourth and fifth goes up to 24. In fourth grade at Hillrise, you can see a teacher has 23, 19, 24, and 19. In fifth grade, you see 4 fifth grade classrooms, 23, 22, 21, and 22. Again, those fall below the 24 class size limits. The bottom section, the student counts by teacher, gives us a quick glance. All of the teachers at Hillrise Elementary, they're alphabetized. So if we want to see their classrooms, maybe that could be multi-age classrooms, we can look at it carefully, as Albert will show us another example. Cesar Chavez Elementary has some multi-age classrooms. They are the jump classrooms. And in this case, that particular class, you can see a 6, a 9, and a 5 for a total of 20. So if you looked at that same example under the student counts by teacher, you would see that the teacher has 5 in kinder, and then she's got a 9 in first grade and a 6 in second grade. So if you were just looking at across the board, you might think that that teacher's below the class size limit. However, when you look at the bottom section, you can see that the teacher has a multi-age class with 20 students in it. To the right, you see a bar. It tells us the number of general ed students at Cesar Chavez. And in blue, it tells us the number of bilingual students that they have at that school for a total of 478 students. Based on us monitoring the enrollments per site, we've been able, since Tracy presented to you at the August 18th board meeting, we've been able to move 1 teacher from Booker T to Alameda, 1 teacher from Valley View to Fair Acres, and 2 control codes to Desert Hills. A control code is tied to a teacher, and in some instances, in a school where a class didn't make and the students were able to be reassigned, we were able to take that control code and move it to where we had the need. In this particular situation, Desert Hills had the need for 2 additional teachers. So at this time, I stand for any questions that you may have regarding the new dashboard that's been created to monitor enrollment at the elementary level.
Madam President, while you're turning around, I want to recognize Albert for his efforts in providing us with this dashboarding. For the years I've been here, we've had difficulty early in the year trying to figure out where we really are. There are 2 heroes in this. One of them is in our IO side, which is our student records side. The work at the schools to be sure that it's populated correctly and shows reality of enrollment is one side of the win. The other side is this dashboard. Because now this is a tool we have as a district we can use every day to look and monitor where we really are in enrollments and then make modifications that are appropriate to that. And I want to congratulate Liz, Wes Baker and his folks over in IO also for getting us to this point. This is a huge positive step as we work with a pretty complex set of work around staffing. I'll also preempt a little bit in case Liz mentions it. We're working still on our strategy at secondary. It's a much more complex set of circumstances and brings in our scheduling software along with our enrollment software as we try to blend the 2 of those to get to real-time data on class size there. I suspect that'll be work that'll be forthcoming this fall. We've not conquered all of that yet, but it's not for lack of effort, and I feel very good about where we are today. Thank you.
Yes, and Albert did show me preliminary work at the secondary level, so we're still tweaking that a little bit, but it's magnificent to be able to hone in, and in any one of these situations, you can scroll over. For example, if we have a discrepancy, we're able to call a principal and make sure that we can scroll over any one of those numbers and pull up who actually is in that class. So I'd also like to commend the principals for being so proactive in really looking at their class sizes and moving people when they needed to quickly so that we didn't have the overcrowded classrooms.
Board members, do we have any questions or comments?
Looks great.
Okay, and this is very visually, I mean, for those of us that are visual learners, I think it's fantastic, so congratulations. Now, I would like to see the rest of the schools. Just, to look at, are they available online?
Madam
or-
President, they're available in Liz's
You're-
office. You're
yes.
welcome to come and visit, and we can bring it up. It's quasi-proprietary, but we would invite you to come and look at any schools or all schools if you'd like.
Okay.
We could do screenshots of all 39 or 40 sites.
Just to look at it,
but-
we're used to looking at numbers
Yes.
before. Now, this is a very specific way of looking at the classes. Because I was gonna ask you a question and you answered it. When I looked further down, there it was. So it's good.
Albert, great job. You
Very
there?
good.
That's right.
Did you have a comment, Mr. Davis?
Madam Chair, Dr. Marco, our access to that, you're going to set up a system where our access is coming down here to do it?
Yes, you're welcome to come in to HR, and we'd be happy to sit with you to go over any of the elementary schools. Those are done so far, but we're working on the secondary schools.
If anybody wants to go, maybe we can go in pairs or just to
Matter of
save
fact, we'd
time.
invite you to come down, and if we need to publish a possible quorum for that purpose, we can do that also. I want you to know that I want to reiterate something that Liz said. Our principals are a wonderful core of professionals we have in this district, and they've really stepped up as a group, as a body, to help us figure out how we're going to do our staffing work. And it's the most magnificent work I've seen in my career among principals, so I want to thank them for that.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Marufo and Mr. Vega. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so then that takes us on to,
Madam President, Yes, there's nothing under finance. That takes us to B, and I'd like my Chief Academic Officer, Andrea Fletcher, to take you through our student representation on the dais.
Yes, Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent Rounds, I'm pleased to report that we have been working steadily towards meeting your request for student representation on the board, and we will be ready for the September 15th meeting. As we outlined at the August 5th board meeting, the high school principals had a process to have their staff nominate all of the students, and then their leadership team selected the representatives. And we are preparing to get them ready for that new role. And we'll have a kickoff training on September 17th where they will learn about how the governance of the board works, board meeting etiquette and protocols. We'll go over the agenda with them so that they understand all of the items and are prepared to offer comments or ask questions. And at that time, they'll choose a representative to sit on the dais, and they'll also have the opportunity to participate in an open forum with the superintendent, so they can voice their concerns and their desires, what they think would work best in the schools. So we are actually very excited to have the opportunity to tap into our students' voice and to provide leadership opportunities for some amazing students in our district.
Very good. Now, you mentioned September 17th. Is it 14th?
It's the 14th. Did I say the
Oh,
17th?
no,
14th.
and I just wanted to clarify. And there, I have a question in regards to, when we initially met in the superintendent's office, we had a group of community members that were there. They would like to meet now. I think and perhaps having those student representatives there so that we can have input from all of those people that made that meeting. And I was going to propose a date for that meeting to take place previous to this September 14th training of Tuesday, the 8th at 6 p.m.
Something is happening the 8th.
And that would be to involve NMSU, the principals that want to join us. I think Mr. Frost was at that initial meeting, and see if people can come to this meeting just to, again, review how everything's coming together.
So Mr. Milam and I spoke this afternoon too, so we're kind of working on another plan, so we might think about if we could possibly push that off a little bit. We're working on
Well, the people that were on that initial group have been asking me to help set up this meeting. So September 8th was the only date that came up at this point, and it would be previous to the training.
Okay.
And so the other thing I wanted to mention, does anyone want to attend the training itself, board members?
I think it would be very nice if one of you could.
I plan to be
Voice
there,
your-
and I think one more person.
When is it? What day is it?
September the
14th. At what time?
It's 6 o'clock.
6 p.m.?
Yes.
Sure, I'll come.
Madam President, I'd like to attend if
Okay, well, let's see, we can only have two there,
okay.
so.
I'll-
And Barbara was at the original meeting, and maybe you could come, if we have the September 8th meeting, maybe
Sure.
Mr. Castro can come to that also.
So, Madam President, on September the 8th, I would just alert the board that we have an AP assistant principal meeting with the superintendent from 4:30 to 6 o'clock that evening. So we'll have to figure out how to schedule if those are to be in attendance also.
Well, it would just be.
If they're independent, it's fine.
Yes, if they want to come, they can join at 6 p.m.
All right.
And I would just contact that original list of the people that were there, inclusive of all 4 high school principals, or 5. I forget how many we have now. So I'll contact you, Ms. Fletcher, and
Okay.
we'll work that out.
Okay. And what was the time on that one?
That's also 6 p.m. so that students
the
can,
14th.
on the 8th, there is the 8th and the 14th. So, Mr. Castro, do you want to come to the 8th?
Sure.
And you want to come to the 14th? We can talk about that later, okay? We'll decide. Okay. And is that it, Ms. Fletcher?
Yes, that's it.
Okay, all right. And thank you, principals, for manning that, for expediting that to get our student representatives up. We're looking forward to hearing what they want us, what they would like to bring, the concerns that are bubbling up within the student population. I think this is key to us, the board members, to know that we're on the right track. Okay? So we're looking forward to that. We can hardly wait. And I think we have a chair over here, so we're very excited. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam President. Moves us to item 3-4C. So Mr. Dean is not here. I'll take that on. This evening, we are bringing a transportation update, and Ms. Kathy, Mr. Del Toro is doing the presentation. Are you part of that, or? Okay, David Del Toro will be doing the presentation, and Ms. Kathy will be up here perhaps. Mr. Del Toro.
Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent Rounds, I'm here this evening to give you a brief overview of the opening day of school and how it relates to the bus transportation. I came onto this job about a week before school started, so it's been a learning curve, a serious one to say the least. I'd like to start off with the slide by showing you the established processes that have been in place for years. The bus registration for the new school year takes place when school starts. We don't know who's going to be at the bus stop until the first day of school, unless it's the bus driver that has had the same route for the previous year. Then he has an idea of which kid. But if it's a new driver, they pretty much don't have an idea as to who's going to get on the bus on the first day. The kinder teachers, it's my understanding that the kinder teachers meet with the parents on kinder transition day, which is the day before their start of school, to review the bus information with the parents and go over any kinder sibling forms or parent request forms. And it's my understanding that it's at that time that the kinder teachers find out what bus the kinder students are supposed to get on the first day of school. Also, the special ed bus routing, that needs to be established at least 2 weeks before the start of school. In other words, that special ed bus routing has to be set in place because all the parents need to be notified. It's a door-to-door service. If the parents don't, if we can't get a hold of the parents, then we can't start the service. So that gives us kind of a 2-week buffer before school starts in order to get that going. And again, these established processes and procedures have been going on every year, it's my understanding. As far as the opening day of school, the bus issues that we have encountered and that I have seen, of course, it's the proper placement of kinder students on the appropriate bus. Again, I went to 3 different elementary schools to see how that process works. And it's pretty much, we are pretty much at the mercy of the kinder teachers as to whether that child gets on the right bus or not. I've gone to 3 different schools and have noticed several ways that teachers do this. There is no uniform way. Some teachers do a great job. Some teachers probably could be a little bit more organized. But again, if a kinder student is on the wrong bus, it's more than likely placed there by the teacher. And sometimes the teachers are at a disadvantage. The parents don't show up for transition day, and pretty much the teacher needs to get together with the secretary and try to figure out which bus that child's supposed to get on. Another issue that I've seen is the identification of kinder students. You got some pretty good-sized kinder students that could pass for first graders. And the policy is that the bus driver is not supposed to let a kinder student off the bus unless there is an adult to receive them. And sometimes they'll slip through the cracks, and sometimes the bus drivers won't pay attention. But other times they don't know who the kinder student is. We don't have any type of a standardized identification that we could use for the first week of school. And again, dropping kinder students off without the adult. The kinder sibling letters and the parent request forms are not filled out. Many times the parents have the kinder student has a sibling that the parents want them to get off at the bus stop, but there has to be a special form that's filled out at the campus in order for that to happen. And sometimes the parents get upset at the bus driver because they won't let the kinder student off with their brother or sister. But again, they're just following the rules. There is no form on file, and we don't want to take the risk. Same thing with parent requests. Parents can sign a request form to have a grandparent wait at the bus stop for the kinder students. Sometimes those forms aren't filled out. The grandparents get very upset because they see their grandchild on the bus, but the bus driver is not going to let that child off. Bus overloads, that's very fluid. Kids are kids. Sometimes they'll take the bus, sometimes they won't. We're trying to register students on the first day. It's kind of like, I think I've heard Mr. Rounds use this term. We're trying to build a plane and fly it at the same time. So that makes it very difficult to determine if we have the right number of buses. I'll give you an example. Mayfield High School, we had a bus overload, and we sent an extra bus the following day to address the issue, and that extra bus left empty. And so then again, we expect some problems. After Labor Day, we usually tend to get an influx of students, so we might have some overload. So again, it's real hard to determine. Buses running late. We tweak the routes as we go along. Sometimes some buses have too many stops, and that causes the bus to be late, and so we do all of this tweaking. What's been real interesting about this year is the transportation director is new. The general manager for the bus company is new. The router that does the bus routes for the regular ed students is new. So that's good and bad. We're learning, but at the same time, we're seeing things through a different lens, and that can be a good thing. The next slide, some recommendations based on what we've seen so far, and I've talked with the general manager of the bus company. The bus company also brought in a consultant last year when Mr. Kennan took over the bus transportation. The bus company brought in a consultant, Mr. Dave Schultz, and we've been talking. They tried something this summer with K3 Plus because there is a pre-registration process with K3 Plus. This summer, the bus drivers for the K3 Plus actually had a student roster before the first day of K3 Plus, and that paid dividends. They really like that. At least they have an idea. At least they have more or less how many kids to expect. They have a name. They can start calling roll, and we don't have that process in place at this time. So, in talking with the information systems, Wes Baker and stuff, we're toying with the idea of maybe coming up with a pre-registration process for the students that ride the bus. Right now, we're still in the talking stage. There's a lot of what ifs. But basically, the way this plan would work is when a kinder student registers for bus at Kinder Roundup, there really should be no need for that child to register again if we have all our processes in place and we just roll them over. And again, if that child changes addresses, Synergy downloads the information to the bus routing system every night. So if there is a change in address, the bus routing system will pick it up, and more than likely, that child's name will be bumped off the roster of that bus. And so this is how right now, like I said, it's all very theoretical. But we sure would like to provide the bus drivers with a roster on the first day of school. Would like to create a system somehow, either an identification bracelet, something, to be able to have the bus driver identify this is a kinder student, at least for the first week or so, once they get to know the child. So we're working on trying to come up with some kind of, and maybe even take it as far as the first graders. Some kind of an identification bracelet or something so that when the bus driver stops at the stop, he checks the bracelet, sees if there's a parent. Yes, no, you can stay on the bus or we'll let you go. We're working with the elementary schools to try to determine the best way to do this. So far, we've met with the information, Wes Baker. We've talked about the idea. We've tossed it around. Our next step now is to bring in an elementary, middle, and high school principal of the schools that have the most buses that come to their campus. We need to kind of pick their brain, share our idea with them, maybe even bring in the campus registrar, since she will be doing the bus registration for new students if we put this plan in place, if it goes through. So lots of talking and planning, but we really need to flesh out all the what ifs before we try to implement something like this, and we're not quite there yet. The next slide, the current bus parameters, just an FYI, elementary students, it's a 1 mile walking distance to the bus stop or the school. If you are more than 1 mile away and you're an elementary student, then we need to make the bus stop at least a mile or closer in order for you to go to the stop. Same thing with the school. If you live a mile from the school, then according to the PED regs, it does not require bus transportation. For middle schools, it's 1.5 miles, and for high schools, it's 2 miles. And we're running across, and I can understand the parents. I get phone calls every day, well, the bus passes in front of my house, why can't it just stop? And what we've done this year is we have really streamlined the pickup and drop-off process. We're pretty much doing the same thing that we were doing last year with 11 fewer buses. So that gives you an idea as to, it was almost being a Cadillac type of service. We were stopping at the beginning of the block, in the middle of the block, and the end of the block, when we really should have only been stopping one time. So by removing these stops, we've been able to minimize the number of buses needed, and so far it seems to be working very well. Bus occupancy, again, this is not a set number. This is not like the class sizes. It's the average is 3 per seat with the elementary students. With the middle school students, it could be 3, it could be 2, depending on the size of the student. And with the high school kids, on the average, we're looking at about 2. Very rarely will we be able to seat 3 on a bus with high school students. But again, I need to make sure that you understand that these are not set numbers. This is not how we determine a ridership, but this is what the PED recommends and the bus company. Next slide, a couple of the issues that we have encountered and the solutions that we have come up with. We get requests, as I stated before, for additional bus stops by parents. The process we have set up is that the request goes to the bus company first. We go to them first because they're under contract to provide us a service with X number of buses. And I've talked to them and I said, if you're going to start approving all of these, it's pretty much on the bus company. I don't want them coming back and saying we need more buses, because the decision was made by them, and they know that they're supposed to work with a certain number of buses. Now, if they don't approve it and the parent still wants to talk to somebody else, then it comes to my office. And depending on the situation, if it's a safety issue, if it's medical reasons, I will physically go to the address of the house of that parent. I will physically go and see where the bus stop is, and I'll physically go and see where they're requesting that it be moved or changed to. And based on the information, then I will make a decision at that time. Bus overloads, as I had stated before, we send an extra bus when we see that we have an issue. That happened at Mesilla Park. We send an extra bus at Mesilla Park 3 days in a row because we were having bus overloads every day. We send an extra bus to Mesilla Park 3 days in a row, and 3 days in a row the extra bus came back empty. It's just one of those hit and miss. It's very fluid. Same thing at Mayfield High School. When we send an extra bus, the extra bus came back empty. And speaking of Mayfield High School, on the next slide, gives you an example of the ridership. This table I shared with Ms. Kathy and Mr. Dean on August 21st, which was last Thursday, and you can see the ridership way over in the AM and in the PM for Mayfield High School. Then you see an anomaly there, bus 90. It only has 15 students in the afternoon, but that same bus needs to take back 110 they have 15 in the morning and 110 in the afternoon. So, they go with their friends to school in the morning. Their parents take them on their way to work. Who knows the reasons why? It's really, I find it very interesting that it's really hard to nail the overloads. We'll get an overload at Tomball, and we hadn't experienced an overload at all. It's just when the student decides they want to ride the bus. And right now, because we are registering when school starts, it's also difficult for us to determine who is supposed to ride on what bus. So that is pretty much it. And at this time, I'll open it up to any questions or comments or concerns that you may have with regards to the busing of the students here.
Board members, do we have any comments or questions? I just want to say that it's good to know that you're already working on the problem.
Yes, ma'am.
I think that prevention is key. And I think that providing some uniformity for our kinders and first grade, and going back to the safety pin on the back of the shirt, you know?
Yes, ma'am.
That's what we used to do. I don't know if they still do that or not, but to label these kids so that they know. I think that it's to keep them safe. It's safety issues.
And I really believe, and I want to leave you all with this, that the systems that are currently in place, I think at the time that they were put in place, that was the right thing to do. But now with the growth of the district and with
Right.
technology being what it is, now
And
we have some flexibility to try to change things and maybe work smarter, not harder.
Right, and parents are not always there. That's
Correct.
the other thing. So parents are working, so we need to find someone that's going to be following through with that child.
Yes, ma'am.
So, thank you very much for your,
Ms. Kelly?
Really brief
yes,
comment.
yes.
I just
Thank you.
wanted to reiterate on something that David said. It's given us a great opportunity to look at this whole process with new eyes because every set's new. So we can't even tell you, well, that's the way we used to do it because we don't even necessarily know how we used to do it. So sometimes we're having to go, okay, go call somebody else to find out how the past has worked. And it really has allowed us to really open it up and look in it at a very different way. So with STS being new and us being new, it's very challenging, but I think it will bring about some good change that just having those new eyes
Right.
is going to bring up.
I think it was needed this year. I think it's gonna happen. That's great.
And
Thank you.
STS are working very, very well with this, and I know they're over here every day with David trying to solve all the problems. So I think we're building a real positive relationship.
You're a good partner.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so that concludes that report, and now we move on to 5A, new business. We have the discussion of memorandum of understanding with La Semilla Food Center, and I'd like to introduce to you Rebecca Wiggins of La Semilla Food. We've been working with La Semilla in the district, and she'll tell you and fill you in on, but this is not new, but now we're moving it forward and formalizing our relationship a little bit more. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me tonight. My name is Rebecca Wiggins Reinhardt, and I'm the Farm to School Director with La Semilla Food Center. And in case you're not familiar with our work, we're a local nonprofit that's been working over the past 5 years to really foster a sustainable and local food system. We have a 12-acre farm in Anthony where we engage youth and youth apprentices in activities from growing food all the way to selling it at farmers markets in the region. We also work with city councilors and county commissioners to advise on food policies and access to food in our community. We also have helped farmers markets in our region become EBT accessible over the past couple of years, where families can use food stamps to purchase foods at the market. And then what I'm here to talk to you about tonight is our edible education program. And I am excited about the opportunity to just be here and talk with you about what we have been doing in the district. Over the past 4 years, we've partnered with several schools and also with our food service staff. I guess Nancy left.
She's right there.
You're here. Been tremendous partners already, and so this is an opportunity to just formalize that relationship as we move into our 5th year of programming with the district. So edible education, it is about engaging students in garden and culinary activities that teach about where food comes from and how it affects our bodies, how it affects our communities, our environment, personal health, and we do this while working with teachers to make sure that lessons are meeting New Mexico benchmarks and standards. Next slide. Edible education covers a broad range of activities. Some are listed up here. Gardening and cooking, cafeteria tastings, clubs, family cooking, teacher trainings. Our program spans 3 different school districts, Las Cruces, the Gadsden district, and also El Paso. We have 8 schools that we have direct programming at, and then we, like I mentioned, partner with numerous other schools. And Las Cruces, in other ways besides some of these activities that we do directly in the classroom, as I mentioned with food service, we've partnered with them to do tastings in the cafeteria and pilot new menu items. They've helped send SNAP Ed funding our way to get garden infrastructure in at new schools, to also help fund service members that we place on the ground to work directly with the schools and lead activities with teachers. And also through mini grants where we've been able to open up opportunities for other teachers and principals in the district to submit applications to get funds to do garden-based programs or cooking activities in their schools. So in the past, our model has been to place service members directly on the ground at schools within the district to do the various activities you see before you, the gardening and cooking. Next slide, please. And so why is this kind of education important? And I bet if I asked you, each of you right now, if you are touched with someone who's had diabetes or is suffering with diabetes or obesity or any kind of diet-related illness, probably each of us would raise our hand. We are facing a national epidemic, and we know research has shown that hands-on gardening and cooking experiences really affects children in ways that encourage them to make healthier choices in the cafeteria. When they know how to plant and how to raise food and then they pick it themselves and taste it, we know they're going to make more healthy choices in the home and in the cafeteria. Research proves it. We're also providing them basic life skills where they are learning to cut and prepare fresh, healthy food. And we know that when they're outside in the garden, they're more alert when they come back in. They have opportunities to engage their senses in new ways. So we know this works. Next slide, please. In Las Cruces, we've had direct programming at the 4 schools listed there: Sierra Middle School, Lynn Middle School, Conley, and Valley View Elementary. And then we've also worked with teachers from Picacho and Hillrise, Hermosa, Mayfield, Oñate, and numerous other schools to implement this program in various levels. We teach traditional foods and try to bring pride in our culture and bring back knowledge of traditional foods like nopal and amaranth and other various things that you see, which also have incredible health benefits, and especially in combating diabetes. And we know that with our program, we've seen with our evaluation over several years that kids are more willing to try new foods and vegetables that they're unfamiliar with by having these opportunities to grow and prepare it and harvest and try it in their classrooms. Next slide, please. Here you see Sierra Middle School students, and I believe you've had Melly Locke, a teacher, 7th grade science teacher there, come and speak with you before about this. But these are experiential garden plots where she has her students come out and they create hypotheses about which seeds are going to germinate the fastest and which plants are going to produce the highest yield, and all kinds of things where they're experimenting and learning science about ecosystems in the garden, and then they harvest the food and try it in the classroom. And some of the stories that she may have shared with you that have stuck with me is she told me a parent came up to her and said, you know, my daughter had never tried an apple before today. And this is a 7th grader who had never tried an apple, which breaks my heart. But she tried it with kohlrabi that they grew from the school garden and made an apple kohlrabi slaw. And since then, she said, my daughter's palate has opened up. She's trying sugar snap peas and all kinds of vegetables and things that she wasn't before. And then another parent shared with the same teacher that her son, he's very quiet in the classroom and never speaks. So the teacher really couldn't see if he was engaged or not. He just seemed kind of apathetic. And then the mom came and said, I don't know what you're doing, but everything you plant in the classroom, he's planted at our house. Every available space is being planted. So we know this is transferring into the home as well. And like I said, teachers are able to use outdoor classrooms as classroom spaces to teach all the different standards from math to language arts to science, even physical education can be met using the garden as an outdoor classroom. Next slide, please. And then we've partnered with, most recently with Las Cruces Public Schools and Nancy, Kathy, and Barbara Berger to do some tastings. We were awarded a USDA Farm to School grant, and we piloted 4 new local food menu items in 4 of our middle schools this past year. So we worked with the district to purchase local foods to bring into the classroom. Students were able to have a science lesson where they also tasted the food in their classroom and learned some health benefits of it. And then about a week later, it would be offered on the cafeteria line. So it's been a lot of fun getting to learn about the challenges and also the benefits of working through some of the systemic issues of getting local food into the cafeteria. But I wanted to share this as just another way that we're already working with the district. Next slide, please. We do after-school clubs as well, and this is an opportunity to more intimately engage kids with gardening and cooking activities. You can go ahead and show the next one as well, another picture of kids. We often harvest food from the garden to use in after-school clubs, and we prepare healthy snacks or just do basic tastings, and sometimes we even prepare full meals. So kids they learn to make different entrees throughout an 8-week period, and then we invite their families in, you can go to the next one, for a family cooking activity where the kids will lead their families in preparing these meals. So it's a great opportunity to get all different kinds of people in. You get siblings, friends, grandparents, parents, just a wide variety of family members coming into the school where their kids lead them through how to prepare certain recipes. And, it's also an opportunity for families often to see that their kids can help with preparing dinner and they can use knives safely. And we also incorporate basic nutrition lessons as well. Okay, next one. Some of the things that we've made whole wheat pizzas with vegetables, fresh salads using kale and Swiss chard, ratatouille pasta, just a number of things. And we also try to incorporate as much from the garden and from local farmers as well. So the next slide. Our new model that we're shifting from, we just don't have enough boots to put on the ground for the requests that we get. It would be great if we could have a service member at each school. But right now, what we're doing instead is we are switching to a model where we're training teachers to implement edible education activities into the classroom themselves. And because our goal is to have this kind of education in every school, and the only way we're going to get there right now is by helping teachers get the tools they need to do it themselves. Next one. So last year, we partnered with the Paso del Norte Health Foundation and also New Mexico State University's STEM Outreach Program to do teacher trainings. And we did over 100 teachers were trained over 4 weekends. And we had over 35 schools represented throughout the region. So our new model is shifting towards this. And so what we're going to be doing is our service members this year will be what we did is we went to the 4 participating schools and we asked for teachers to sign up to agree to attend a monthly meeting with us where we provide them with the curriculum that they will then use in the classroom to engage kids. And so we're providing them actually with the lesson that is garden-based, and our service members will be working to help really get the gardens up and running as outdoor classrooms. And this past weekend, I can show you the next slide. This is Valley View Elementary. On Saturday, we had about 35 volunteers come, and with some of the funds that Las Cruces, the food service staff have helped us access through their SNAP Ed funds, helped us build this infrastructure that you see on the next slide here. So this is what we want to have at all of our garden sites. These are mega heavy-duty raised garden beds that will last 15 to 20 years. It's modeled off what the city of Las Cruces has done in their community gardens using Pecky cedar. We've also got some heavy-duty landscaping cloth underneath the beds because this site has a lot of Bermuda grass. I'm sure everyone's familiar with how that can take over. So really, we are focusing our efforts now on creating outdoor classroom spaces for teachers and then giving them lessons and all the supplies they need to then engage kids outside in that classroom themselves. So that's the model that we're moving forward to. And so this is where we're headed. I wanted you to see where we've been and where we are headed, and just really appreciate this opportunity to formalize our partnership. I believe you have a draft of the MOU before you, and I know we're still working on some of the language, but there's a lot of ways for you all to come and get involved. We'll be doing a ribbon cutting at some of our new sites this fall, and we'll invite you to come and celebrate with us. But if you have any garden equipment to donate, or if you want to come out on any of our volunteer days, I can send a schedule of when those are. It's great to be out there with kids. We had a lot of students and their parents at Valley View on Saturday that came. And then we would love for any of you to come in and speak with our students in after-school clubs. If you have any knowledge of gardening that you'd like to share, or a recipe that you want to come and cook with us, we'd love to have you. And we're also, another way that we're really trying to expand our reach to educators throughout the region is through a teacher listserv, where we'll be sending out biweekly messages and lessons that they can engage their kids with in the classroom. So, and then the last slide is just my contact information. And those highlighting words about what we do as your local nonprofit trying to foster this local food shed. So, did you want to?
So I was just going to add a couple of things. The model that Rebecca and her staff are choosing to go to is the one that we've been using with our SNAP Ed money for, 12 years or whatever we've had. And Barbara always gets terrific response from our classroom teachers because it provides them ways to teach the things they already need to teach in a new way. And we're not asking them to teach new things, but we're trying to encourage and support what they're already teaching. And so it's been super positive for us and well received, and SNAP Ed loves it because we have a lot more contact for fewer dollars. And so I think this now is carrying over, and so we already know it's a format that teachers really have enjoyed over the last few years. So hopefully we'll see an expansion of the number of kids that are impacted by the gardening experience.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, both of you, Rebecca for the presentation and Nancy for the extra words. And I know that it's been in our district now for 5 years. I've gone out and visited the gardens. I've talked to teachers and kids. And actually, I can't believe it, but it's really delicious. I mean, I eat lots of vegetables too, and I can't input anything into this because my garden doesn't always grow the way I want it to, and I don't know why. Does anyone else have any comments? Or we're going to have a memorandum of understanding. We don't have the copy of it today, but we will have it to vote on it, I think, for September 16th. So thank you. And not only do they do this, they also do a fundraising dinner called, what is it? Farm to Fork? Farm to Fork. And it is the best food you can possibly have at Ardovino's table. I've been to 2 of them so far, and it's just fabulous.
Yeah, the next one is September 12th. If you would like to join us, there's all kinds of information on our website. And it's all locally sourced food from growers in our region, and local chefs then prepare the menu based on what's available. It's a good time.
So thank you very much, Rebecca,
Thank
for
you.
all the information and all the work you do.
Thank you for having me.
Comments? Thank you. Okay, so then we will go ahead and we have a collection of, we're going on to the review of NMSBA resolutions. We have a packet that is stapled together, and on there we have a resolution on reducing standardized testing. We also have the one that we have already signed, collaboration with the Public Education Department. We signed it for our district, and now we're going to go ahead and send it on to NMSBA for consideration. Albuquerque has asked to wait on our collaboration with all the districts because of their situation right now, but we hope to get back to it when they are free. We have older resolutions here on recruitment and training of retaining teachers. I think this was last year's. So we want to see if we want to, you need to review this packet to see which one we want to keep and which ones we want to send on. And as a matter of fact, we're on a deadline. September 11th is the day that they're all due. So the sooner, pardon? Oh, I thought it was September 11th. I don't know why. So they're due, we will have time to then pick and choose for our next board meeting. Let's see, what else do we have? The support, the general support for all New Mexico School Board Association resolutions. And the last one is to allow waivers for creation of innovative programs. Now, this does not mean that this is what we're gonna send up. If you have ideas for new ones, now's the time to bring it forward.
By now, Madam Chair,
Yes.
by now means what, like, not today, but
Within the next week to send it on, so that then, send it to Mr. Hand. And then if you have an idea, you can sit down with, Ms. Galvan or Mr. Hand to flesh it out. If there's something particular that we should be concentrating on or asking, the legislature to be thinking about, this is what we, need. This is what Las Cruces Public Schools Board of Education wants. And so if you can think of other things that we can work on, that would be great. So we have one, I'd say about a week's time to sit down with these folks in the district and work on it. And then we used to depend on Dr. Sanchez to do this with us, but, well, that changes, doesn't it? And so I don't know that we need to do a lot of them, but to be more focused is always key. And we depend on all of you for ideas, okay? So let us know. And if there's one on here that you don't want, let Mr. Hand know as well, I think. We'll probably vote on each one individually.
Madam President, our intent is to bring it to your September 15th meeting after we've had any further requests from the board, and then it'll be your point individually to select those you want to carry along.
Okay, so then we'll do that at our next board meeting. So any ideas are will be gratefully accepted. Okay, that takes us on to 5.3. 5A3, discussion of J. Paul Taylor resolution. This is one to do with our very, very dear Mr. J. Paul Taylor. And basically what we're doing is we're going to take some time to honor him. And he recently turned 95 years old. He is an incredible individual. He's actually my mother's age. I can't believe it because there's such a difference between one and the other, and it always astonishes me. But he worked for Las Cruces Public Schools for 34 years as a teacher and administrator, and it's my understanding he began the bilingual education program in Las Cruces Public Schools. And so here we have a copy of the resolution, and I think we'll be voting on it next, for our next meeting. So make sure that you look over it and see if there's anything you want to add or change, or any concerns you might have with it. Any comments on this? Or,
Madam President, just one thought. As you carry your legislation forward, you may want to contemplate having us take this resolution forward to the House of Representatives for them to do a House Joint Memorial to honor him also during this session.
I don't think we need to take it to the New Mexico School Board Association.
I don't believe so, but I'm suggesting that next step might be
to the
us to carry it
legislature.
forward to the legislature. And we can amend the resolution appropriately that directs me to take it to them on their behalf. We can do that.
Okay, I think that would be a positive change. But again, any comments or concerns, go ahead and send them to Mr. Hand. Okay? So then, if there's no comments, we'll go on to old business. We are going to look at old business B1, review of Las Cruces Studio Film Complex resolution. And we do have Miss Irene Oliver Lewis here. I saw Representative Jeff Steinborn was also here, but he has since stepped out. So do we have a copy of that?
Madam Chair, we do, and I'm not sure, do we have it electronically there? I believe we do. And Madam Chair, let me read it for the audience and for you if that'll please the board.
Why don't I have a copy of it?
Not sure.
We don't have
Oh, okay.
A resolution in support of the proposed Las Cruces Studios Film and Television Production Complex. Whereas film and media are valued educational endeavors which cultivate student learning, outcomes of creativity and innovation, and whereas the production complex will provide jobs and significant revenue for local small businesses, increase commercial revenue, develop a creative economy, and promote regional tourism, and whereas the production complex will generate jobs for college and university graduates, and whereas the production complex will provide new opportunities for middle school film magnets and will support high school vocational training, and whereas the production complex supports the Las Cruces Public Schools Board of Education's advocacy for creative endeavors and expanding cultural opportunity and global exchange, now therefore it be resolved that the Las Cruces Public Schools Board of Education supports the proposal for the City of Las Cruces to build a film and television production complex in partnership with New Mexico State University and Doniana Community College, and be it further resolved that the Las Cruces Public Schools will engage in discussion with NMSU and DACC to further develop film and entertainment arts education opportunities and development of curriculum submitted for consideration this first day of September 2015.
Okay, and I see that Representative Mr. Jeff Steinborn is here, if you'd like to make a comment.
Any comments, Representative?
And today is just a review, but we'll be voting on this September 16th as well.
And that day will be affixed accordingly.
Okay. Madam Chair, Ms. Superintendent, Board, it's an honor to be with you all. It's been Ms. Hall, one of my elementary school teachers, you know. A great honor to be in front of you. It's been several years since I've addressed you, and great to be with you tonight. In addition to being a state representative, I'm also the chair of a local film advisory committee called the Regional Film Development Advisory Committee. And several of our members are out there, including Irene Oliver-Lewis and Scott and Russ and folks that you all know, very active in the community. And you know, the film industry is a billion-dollar industry in the state, which is staggering. It's big, but it's something we're not that exposed to here in Las Cruces because it mostly exists in the northern part of the state, where they have 4 studios, also known as sound stages. And we've been working towards an endeavor and raised a pretty nice chunk of funding already from the state to build a soundstage in Las Cruces, which would only be the 3rd purpose-built soundstage in the state and the only one in southern New Mexico of a respectable size to be able to attract film and major motion pictures. We've been working also very closely now since last year with the university in building the whole academic component. This is an industry that employs people from a range of skill sets and interests, with and without degrees. It's a great opportunity for our students. It's something when you talk to your average high school student that they get really excited about, the possibility of working in this industry here. And of course, Las Cruces Public Schools already has a magnet program. So it's here at middle school for film. So appreciate your consideration of supporting the City of Las Cruces and their consideration of building a soundstage. And also in the Las Cruces Public Schools work, and I know, Ms. Superintendent, you've kind of been exploring that, but in partnerships with our other academic institutions to really build a robust, exciting, unique academic world to go along with the commercial world and bring Las Cruces into this industry and create a lot of jobs and creativity and training. So thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, Representative Steinborn. Does anyone have any questions or comments? We've had an incredibly long meeting, you know, you understand.
I
so we're
completely
a
understand.
little brain dead, perhaps.
No, you know what?
But
It's
we're
all right.
excited about this.
Thank you. No, I know it. I felt it. I was in a meeting all day in Silver. I was joking with Irene that my penance for being in a public body is to have to go sit in on another public body.
Oh, yes.
You know, I respect what you do.
But
Thank you
you
all.
have to admit, it's been an exciting meeting nonetheless. There's been a lot of good things presented today, I think.
Impressive.
Incredible things.
Great.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
It's great.
Thank
Thanks.
you for being here. Okay, so then we are now on a B2 or 5B2, first reading and approval of policy BEDB, board agenda. I will, and we have it in front of us, an explanation of it, that this proposal would allow 2 board members to submit their request to a superintendent in order to prevent any preliminary discussion among 3 or more members, a violation of the Open Meetings Act. The superintendent would then inform the president and the item would be added to the agenda. Now, regularly, it is the board president, the superintendent, and an additional board member that sits in and sets the agenda. Currently, that's what we're doing. But this is adding an extra item for consideration after the agenda has been set. And this has only happened in my time once. So, I will entertain a motion to approve this policy. This is the first reading and approval to approve policy BEDB, board agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
A second.
And is there any discussion in this? Okay, so then I will, we need now to vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Please say already. Aye.
Aye.
And I vote nay.
Good for you.
Absolutely. Okay, there we go. So the policy has been approved. And that takes us to 5B3, the removal from the table of policy GBGC, Employee Assistance Wellness. We had tabled it, so now I'm removing it from the table so that we can approve it. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
A second.
Okay, and all in favor of removing it from being tabled? Please vote.
Aye.
Okay, anyone else? For removing it from the table? A vote? Aye?
Aye.
Okay, any nays? No? Okay, so I vote aye, so it is, we've removed it from the table. The next item is the third, this is 5B4, the third reading and approval of policy GBGC, Employee Assistance Wellness, and I will entertain a motion to now approve this policy, GBGC, Employee Assistance Wellness.
So moved.
And,
Second.
okay, Mr. Frank seconded. Any comments? Discussion? And all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Are there any nays? None received, so the motion passes, and GBGC Employee Assistance Wellness has now been approved. Okay, that takes us now to public input. And I just in comment, we do not usually make comments after public input. I did not receive any requests for public input. Is there anyone that would like to speak? Okay, so seeing that there is none, I will now entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Madam President, you have board reports if you'd like to go there.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Well, yes, I had crossed it off, so
Okay,
that's
so I'm fine, I just.
Yes, any board members would like to make a report at this point?
Too late to do it.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
You'll save it for next time then?
No, it'd be way too long. Since school started, I have visited 8 schools. It was great. The buildings are spotless. They're pristine and sparkling. The kids are scrubbed and well-dressed. The teachers are working hard. Everybody looks really engaged. The only complaint I've heard has been about the testing and the teacher evaluation based thereupon. But we went to the football game last Friday. We saw Oñate and Centennial. The teams looked great. I think we'll have some sweepstakes winners from bands because the 2 bands looked really good. So that's what I've been doing. Good stuff, fun things.
Anyone else? No? Okay, well, then I will go to adjournment. I will entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Good.
And do we have a second? All in favor, please say aye. And the meeting is now adjourned. Thank you very much for attending.